Let's talk about that video. The video of you getting your first American paycheck is incredible. What was that like, and how does it compare to getting a paycheck in Cuba?
Always in Cuba, we love the United States. I wanted the American people to understand the people from Cuba love the United States country, love it. It's insane. I hear, why you earning in the United States? You know, the people when I travel to Cuba say, no, I earn for hour 21, 25 bucks. For 1 hour? 20? No, impossible. I said, yeah, that's happening outside to Cuba, in the capitalist country. When I have this, my first check said, oh my God, I never have this money in my life. That's my real money. I earn 1 hour, 1 minute, second. And for me, it was important.
Americans are capable of achieving extraordinary things when they have the freedom and opportunity to do so. This is American Potential. And here's your host, Jeff Crank.
Welcome to another episode of American Potential. Thanks for being with us. You know, what if Americans got to see their country through the eyes of an immigrant? Today's guests are a couple that are giving Americans that opportunity by recording the husband's journey from Cuba to America and documenting his experiences. Now, one thing Americans do without really thinking twice about is going to the grocery store to get the groceries they need. Well, when our guest today went into his first American grocery store, he became emotional because there were multiple options for one type of product, and the shelves were chock full. Now, this isn't the norm in Cuba because the shelves are mostly bare. And if products are there, they're expensive. Now, this couple has also captured some of his other first American experiences, such as going to the movies or eating a steak. Now, you may have seen one of their videos, which is of him opening his first American paycheck and him getting overwhelmingly excited and him showing just amazing gratitude for being paid for his hard work. And I tell you, watching his reaction to everyday things should make Americans see their country differently and just how blessed we are to live in this great country. I want to welcome Marissa Daniela Diaz and Yoel Diaz Cuni to the podcast. Well, thanks both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Okay, now, first of all, we're going to talk about this because I asked Monica to ask you a couple of kind of, fun questions. And she says for Marissa that you are obsessed with remote places around the world, like the Pitcairn Islands, the most remote island in the world. And you're saving to go on a trip there. It only has 50 people who live there. Tell me about that.
When I was like 14 or 15, I always dreamt of seeing the world. And unfortunately, growing up in my household, we couldn't, travel a lot. So they just came out with Google Earth. And so I was obsessed with finding like very obscure places. And I stumbled across Pitcairn Island, which is a part of New Zealand, actually. And they only have 50 people. And it's the most remote island in the world that has people on it. And so I'm obsessed with it. And to get there, you have to go to the Fiji Islands and then take another plane to French Polynesia and then take a 32-hour boat ride. But I'm going to do it.
She won, Joel.
That's amazing. So, it's funny you say that because I'm kind of get obsessed with that too. Like I'll get on Google Earth and go find these like totally remote places. One time I got started looking where, who's the Amelia Earhart? They thought this island that she crashed on, and I was like finding it and zooming in on it and looking at stuff. But my dad served in World War II in the Pacific Theater during World War II. And I've thought about, wouldn't that be cool? It'd be an amazing trip to go to some of those little teeny islands that he went to, 70 years later, go visit those. So I get that obsession. That's kind of a weird one, but I get it.
It's strange, but we all have our quirks.
That's right. Now, Yoel, you used to live in a real remote village in Cuba where there was no electricity at all, right? And totally off the grid. Tell us about that.
Wow, that was my first experiences. No power. That was a part of my family. I never go there, travel there, but the first time I've been there, I'm shocked. I said, and this is possible in this country. We don't have some house, not have power in this remote place, and how the people living so happy. I say, how is this possible? How this possible can living like that? For me, was it no? I can. And the most funny was maybe a 1 mile half. They have all the electricity, that big complex of the electricity place. It was only from mile and a half. I said, why the government don't put a light these people? And they need a way for 61 year for do it up. For me,
Wow.
it was a 2 year, but all his family, the grandma was, she born there. Never have power. When she maybe 65, 67, that's when the government seen put in power. And the only people helping was his family and the neighbor. The farmer people is a few people, because the government don't do it. Just only, hey, take it this and put in your power. It was crazy.
Yeah. Wow. So, and by the way, the reason this whole story, I want to tell our audience about the reason this story came about. I saw your video on Instagram, and we're going to talk about that video in a minute, but it was of you getting your first American paycheck. And I was just really touched by it. Like, you just were so emotional about it. And I think of all the people in America who just take it for granted that they get a paycheck, for their hard work and stuff. And we're going to talk about that, but I wanted to, point that out. To me, that's what led to us even doing this podcast, was just seeing that. And then we found all these other great videos that you had. But before we get to all of that, I want to talk. So what was it like for both of you, I guess, living in Cuba?
They have a saying in Spanish that when something comes to the grocery store, if you translate it in English, it finally came. Like the chicken finally came. And so that was so normalized that for me, it was a really hard adjustment to try to get back into that.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, the censorship was, the fear of saying anything was out of control.
I always remember when she told me, you don't understand my sacrifice when I coming here to this country and see this, how you live, the people living here. And say my inside, because I always say this in the video, some people asking me, the only the Cuban people have in his mind and our own mind is the Hollywood movie. How is the United States? How is the outside of the Cuban? And when she told me many times that, I say, I understand your point, but I never live in that. I want to try that feeling you have it. That is something like, funny.
Yeah. And again, I think Americans, just truly take that for granted. What's the comparison that you use to talk about Havana compared to the rest of the country?
Oh my God. It's a trash. Sorry for my word. It's a trash. For me, it's shame, because always the government put in our capital. This is the most beautiful place, the most beautiful place around the world. Everything, that's huge publicity. And for me, it was wow, I want to see the capital of my country. I want to try. When we be there, I say, wow, that's a big liar.
But in Havana, they have more things.
Oh,
right?
yeah. They have.
You don't see.
Oh, my God. That was my big change. How is my it was my cómo pensé diferente.
How he started to think differently about
about the government,
the government,
about the country. Because I saw my first time sushi restaurant. That's only moving for me. 30, how many years? 30
years.
30 years. Yeah, 31 years. 31 years. Say, wow, that's a sushi place. No, when she told me, say, come on, let's go to the sushi place. Say, we don't have fish in Cuba. We don't have fish in the store. We don't have fish in your house. How is possible you have a sushi place restaurant here? When I've been there, I say, no way. That's kidding me. When you continue walk and you continue walking around the Havana, inside the tourist people and outside to the tourist people, say, oh my God, why are we leaving? What happened to outside to the Havana?
Yeah, I frequently say in our YouTube videos that Havana is like the Hunger Games, where the capital district, they have everything, even though it's, not the prettiest, not the most colorful, but they have everything. And then the outside districts, or in this case, provinces, don't really know what's going on in Cuba or in Havana. So when he went, he was just, wow, shocked, that there was, rich people in nightclubs, restaurants.
Nightclub is like a movie. Nightclub, always I focus like a movie because that's my only picture reference in my mind. That's it. Before go to Havana. And that's when you be there, it's impossible. This is impossible.
That's great. So tell me, why did you decide to immigrate to America?
That was a big decision. I
think because at the time, Trump reversed policy in Cuba, so that affected a lot of things that were happening, especially in Havana. And then there was a change of government that we thought it was going to get better. The new president is his name is Miguel Diaz-Canel. It's not a Castro. It's a new guy. And we thought, it was going to change. There was things that were indicating that things would change. And then we realized it wasn't going to change. And so I said, what are we doing? Wasting, we can't speak. We can't, I don't want to look for chicken every single day.
That's right.
So
I know.
That's why I decided to put in a family visa for Yoel.
I feel it's the only one line I see here in the United States where the black, that's Friday, Black Friday. El único lugar que he visto una cola en América ha sido los Black Friday.
Oh, the only time he's ever seen a line in America is Black Friday.
Oh, why
gotcha.
In line? Not for food. That's for me. It's normal in Cuba. That's when she say when go to the chicken, the normal is a big line. I say, can I have chicken? I don't know, because it's 100 people behind from me. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
So I think that's something I think people in America take for granted. Like, I could leave this studio right now, and on my way home, I would have 10 choices of places to eat and all sorts of different food. I mean, you didn't have that growing up in these villages, right? In Cuba. What did you have? Like, just tell us, what's the average day, or what do you eat in an average day in Cuba in one of these smaller villages?
We did make a YouTube on this. We said eating like a communist for one day. It's on our YouTube. We did a challenge now that we were in the United States. But
I want to answer your question before. Sorry for we lost why we think about it, move to the United States. I have only one word: future, opportunity. That's the American people don't understand sometimes. Now we come into your question now. Do you know you go to the job and you don't have breakfast, and what do you and you need to keep your breakfast
right
for your dinner, not your lunch, for your dinner. That's crazy when you hear that, because I'm here now. I know how the people have orange juice, apple juice. I don't want sugar. I have free juice. I say, what? In Cuba, we don't have nothing. We only have a little bread. Oh my God, I can't think about it because I remember now my daughter, my mom, my family. Do you know how many times my dad say, Dad, I'm hungry. We have nothing. What do you say when you are a kid? So, for example, the people have a kid. Dad, I want a cake. For the American people, go to the store. It was whatever hour. For me, it's crazy. Whatever hour you can go to the stores market and you can buy the cake for the kid. You can meet for the kid. You can buy many things for you see or enjoy your kid. Eat whatever he want. When in my teenager and my youth, my kid life, it was different. It was difficult. And that's happened today, 2024.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yoel, what was your first reaction? Like just when you first got to America? I always love asking immigrants that question. What's the first reaction you remember?
It was funny. It was the light in the city.
We got into the United States at nighttime, so you got to see we went to Miami Beach. So
when I be in the bridge, across the bridge, I see like a kid, oh my God, that's impossible. That's impossible. How many lights? It was at me, and she talked to me, say, hey, look at this, say, it's funny because when I come in the car, you are used to living, when you used to live in some place, you say, oh, okay, I know what is this, or what is the right and what is the front. For me, I just look in the right, say, okay, this is beautiful. But oh my God, I need to see the left. Oh my God, oh, this is beautiful too. But I say, I don't want to lose my right to. It was crazy. It was so emotional. So I said, my God, I'll be in the movie. I live in the movie. That's it. I live in the movie.
That's great. What do you enjoy experiencing more? A new place for the first time, or a food or a different food for the first time? What you say you enjoyed more?
Different food. Different food.
Different food.
I love it.
That. Yeah, that's great. Now let's talk about that video. The video of you getting your first American paycheck is incredible. What was that like, and how does it compare to getting a paycheck in Cuba?
I don't know. Maybe you don't believe me. Maybe you hear about that. My first check in Cuba was $12. That's it. 12. That's it. More. And I was a professor. I was a teacher. My first checks, believe me, and ask it whatever you want from Cuba, was $12. What are you doing with $12 in a month? What do you think about it? Nothing.
Yeah. Wow.
Nothing. When you have the check in United States, because always in Cuba, we love the United States. I wanted the American people to understand the people from Cuba love the United States country, love it. It's insane. I don't know what's going on, what's happened, but in our vein is, I want to be American. We love Cuba. We love my culture a lot. But in the D, say, I want to be American. That's happened. And when I hear, why are you earning in the United States? The people, when I travel to Cuba, say, no, I earn for hour $21, $25 for 1 hour? 20? No, that's impossible. I say, yeah, that's happening outside to Cuba, in the capitalist country. When I have this, my first check said, oh my God, I never have this money in my life. In 35 years, I never had that in my life.
Yeah.
And say, and Eric doesn't know why he said, hey, record this, because for me it's important. And she's put in the video, the government take care of the taxes. I don't care. The government Cuba take me all my life. I don't care if I need to pay 200, 300. I wanted this. That's my real money. I earned 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second. And for me, it was important.
Wow. Yeah, that's so great. And that's another thing that separates you from, an American who is here at the time. They all get bothered by the fact that the tax money is coming out of that. You didn't seem to care. So that's amazing.
Now, I care.
Yeah,
I
of
understand
course.
that. I'm be here. How long be here? Maybe
2 years.
2 years and a half. Maybe I understand the taxes, but I always say, the people have the power. Go to protest for that. We don't have that in my country, and where I'm from, we
Right.
don't have that.
Matt's going to hate me for this, but I'm going to ask him right here just to insert this video so that we can, folks can hear it and they can see this video that you made.
Está grabando, ¿no?
Yeah.
Grábame,
Okay.
grábame. No se te
Okay,
olvide eso,
okay.
grábame. Me lo voy a sacar del bolsillo.
Oh my God.
Mi
Mentira.
primer cheque americano. ¿Cuánto gané yo aquí? ¡Sí! ¡Buah!
Look at the taxes.
Pero prefiero esto que no Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro me quitaba más. El comunismo me quitaba más. ¿Tú sabes qué? Este es mi primer cheque por hora. Que tú sientes que cada hora de trabajo vale. Que cada hora de trabajo tiene una importancia en tu vida. Y que se lucha, que sabes que puedes luchar por algo. Es un sentimiento que no es comparable con nada. Porque nunca lo tuve en mi país. En Cuba no lo hay. Y aquí lo tengo la prueba. Aquí está.
So Marissa, let me ask you, what was it like for you? Because you're seeing this, right? And actually, your reaction is great too. But what was your reaction to seeing him getting that first American paycheck?
Well, when at the beginning of the video, when he sells film me, I had no idea what he was taking out of his pocket. I'm like, okay, what is this? I thought he was giving me something. But he showed me the paycheck, and, being the person that's normally behind the camera when we do a lot of his reactions, I started crying, and it was very emotional for me because, seeing Yoel is one thing, but I've also seen my family go through this as well. And I was just so happy that he reminded me to record it so that we can have the memory, but also, to show everybody in the world this moment that I've seen in my personal life growing up with my family members, that he's having, right? And I always say he's just a symbol of an immigrant, especially a Cuban immigrant, right?
Yeah.
So he's just a symbol of what all of them really go through in the reaction. So I was really happy.
Now the Texas Roadhouse episode, and maybe we can start with you, Marissa, and then go to Yoel. Explain what it was like to go and have a steak.
Oh my God. Let make Marisa know that is better. She explain why it's important the steak and where coming that steak, because in Cuba.
You want me to explain?
Yeah, just
okay.
She's better.
In Cuba, Fidel Castro banned the consumption of cow meat. So in Cuba, there are cows, but they're not. They're only for the government. The cow has a birth and death certificate that the Cuban government issues the cow. Which
You're kidding me. Wait, this is news to me. You're kidding. This is right.
No,
No, it's not.
You don't know. You don't believe me. You don't know what's happened. If you are a farmer, putting some.
People are just really afraid to you have to have a birth and death certificate of the cow. So what people do, because there's always a black market, you know this, right? There's always a black market, so they'll put a cow on the train tracks, and the cow will have an accident, and so people will take the meat. But if the police find you with meat, and you kill the cow, you can go to jail for 20 years,
25 and 7 years.
Yeah, 25 years. And so there's a joke in Cuba that you get more time for killing a cow than you do a human being.
Yeah.
And so because of that, there's not that much cow meat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's beef. I'm sorry, there's not that much beef. And so, or it's like when they do sell it at the store, it is extremely, extremely expensive. So the meat beef has virtually completely erased from the Cuban diet.
Yeah.
In the last
only
60
the government
years.
sold that.
Yeah.
And
the
it's
government.
expensive. Like,
Wow.
she said.
So for you, it was crazy.
It was
right?
crazy when there was the big
piece.
ribs. Many of my Cuban friends say, bro, what is that? He said, man, that's a stick. This is United States, man. That's United States. It's crazy.
Well, we laugh, but it's really it's quite
really sad. It's really sad. You know what is sad? I don't know if it's possible. I have a little history about the cow. I've been when this is my daughter live in the farmer place. It's really farmer. She knows people outside to the city. One day, I don't know what's going on. She's grandma come and say, hey, take this. It's something wrapped, something inside wrapped. Say, take it this and keep it. Don't tell no one. I said, well, oh my God, what's going on? I say, when I come in, walk into my house, say, wait a minute. This baby is a cow? That's only the acting. That's only my mind say, the only people acting like that is because we have doing something illegal. I say, when I go home, I say, wow, this is meat, cow meat. For me, for my mom, say, hey, come on, let's go. We can eat this. We can eat it.
It's small pieces. It's not nothing like Texas Roadhouse.
You can do that for a month. You can. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But my feeling.
And I'm going to ask Matt to insert that video here, the Texas Roadhouse episode as well.
As for Yoel, he's had beef a handful of times, but never a steak. Today, that changes. Hi guys.
Hi.
We are finally here at Texas Roadhouse. Thanks to so many of you guys that helped get us here with the Christmas gifts. We are able to take Yoel to his first time having steak. Can you believe it, Yoel?
Ay, yo no puedo creerlo porque en realidad nunca me había pasado tantas cosas lindas en mi vida como esa.
Are you excited?
Yeah, of course. Ready for that.
You ready to eat some steak? Beef steak.
Siempre un cubano está listo para comer carne.
All right, let's go check it out. Yoel, excited?
Yeah, bueno, está lleno de gente. Oh my God, look at this view. And esto sí es carne, pero carne así que tú, jugosa. Esto es la vida misma. En Cuba sí no hay esto, cabrón. En Cuba sí, esto sí no lo hay. Dios mío. Me huele la quijada porque está bueno. Perfect.
I want to talk about that. So why is it important? Marissa, I'll ask you that. Why is it important for you to have a YouTube channel and an Instagram account to tell this story?
When we were actually had to go to Guyana to do the interview for the US visa. And while I was there, it just occurred to me to get his reactions. And I never thought about doing a YouTube channel. If you see our first YouTubes, it was just my phone. I never recorded horizontally. It was always vertically. And I always thought, they would just be memories for us. And then I put it on the internet. And I quickly realized that it's so important for me to tell this story for really quite a few reasons. One being Cuban Americans that can see their families because we have been separated by a dictatorship for so long. People don't have the opportunity to go to Cuba to see where their family came from, so they could see Yoel is their dad, or Yoel is their grandfather that came to this country. It was also really important. Americans started watching the content, and I said, wow, Yoel is not just a headline in a newspaper that we see on CNN or Fox News. This is one person that has dreams and wanted to come here for a better opportunity, a better life, which I believe most immigrants, not all, but most immigrants have that desire to do. And, third, and most importantly, I realized that Cubans on the island were starting to watch Yoel. And that for me is probably the most important, because I want people on the island to see, especially him that's not from Havana, that's not from the capital, to see what life is like outside of the dictatorship. And for me, I think that's like the driving factor of like continuing our content.
That's happening. One of my friends now is here in the United States. One of my friends is odontology guy. And when the Walmart videos coming on, and he's writing me, say, "Hey, I see you." I say, "Where you see me?" He say, "I don't know what's going on in my job, in my work. Some of my friends come and say, hey, you need to see the first Cuban people go to the store market." It was in Walmart. For me, it was a big, huge shock. And she showed the video of his mom and his mom crying. Saying,
Wow.
"Yo, my mom cried. Say, I'm so glad Joe's being in good place." And for me, it was wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, and that's the only way dictatorships and places where they limit freedom, that's the only way that they can stay in power, right? Is to limit access to that information and see what, capitalism provides in the rest of the world and those sorts of things. So they have to do that in order to stay in power.
Absolutely. They say that America's the enemy, the embargo is the one that's killing us. And it's really interesting to see when you're in a socialist country how the news is completely different.
How the propaganda is
completely different. And it's very interesting to see.
We have a long history about everything, but we don't have time. Believe me, we have many thousand history.
Yoel, what's the thing that, like, maybe the freedom that you enjoy the most? I know that might be a hard question to answer, but what's the freedom or the thing that you get to do in the United States that you didn't get to do in Cuba that you just enjoy the most?
Speak freely. Friendly? That's not
freely.
Freely. Speak freely.
Right.
Why I say this? Because I hear this many times with my mom when I live in Cuba with my mom. When we're talking about the government, she say, "Hey, talk slowly, speak slowly because somebody hear you or somebody, when you have every day, every hour, you want to speak, you want to yell, hey, I don't want this, I don't want that. And somebody say, hey, don't speak high because it's the government maybe hear you, and somebody come. When you hear in the United States, you can say many things, many. For example, putting the president of the United States, you can say, hey, you are this, you are that, you are whatever. In Cuba, you do that, you go to the jail for 10 years. Only that, It's funny. I see sorry for this, the people mostly using the sport, Let's Go Brandon. I don't know what's going on with that one. I believe it's oh, wow. If you do that in my country, immediately, an hour, you be in jail.
Wow.
Any hour, say, you can do that. Yeah. You need to respect the president of the Cuba, or you go 10 years. And it's only you want it free. You say, hey, I want it free. It's illegal. Say free in Cuba. It's illegal. Believe me. That's incredible.
So I would imagine to be able to do that in Cuba, like they must have people who are just listening, like neighbors listening on neighbors and, people around every corner. I mean, is that the case?
Yeah. There's a president. It's called the president of the CDR, the Committee of the Defense of the Revolution. And every street has a president of the neighborhood. And if they hear you, they sometimes report. Actually, we had an instance where that happened to us.
Yeah. And for help people.
Yeah. And I mean, there's just people who will hear you. Usually it's older people. And we're seeing kind of like that decline now with, mostly younger people in Cuba want change. I would say anyone below the age of 50 would want some sort of change. So it's kind of changing now where that's not as heavily when we were younger. But it's definitely still in place where people are snitching on you, quote unquote.
Right. I would imagine the internet is changing a lot of that, right? I mean, do you have access in Cuba to internet sites? It sounds like you do.
Yeah, actually, in 2016, when Obama came, one of I guess their backroom deals was to get internet, and so I find that to be a positive of his when he came to Cuba.
Mhm.
They finally put internet in 2016.
That was
so
that was the internet for
just,
the people.
Yeah, in just the Wi-Fi parks. And I think the internet completely changed the way that people thought in Cuba. Like internet has been revolutionary to the mindset in Cuba.
That's right. But it was illegal.
Yeah.
Well, they can see your videos, but they can also see the rest of the world and, you know, and see what's going on in the United States.
Yeah, there's even Cuban influencers who are, you know, they have podcasts just like yours.
Yeah.
And they talk about what's happening in Cuba. And they're very famous to the point where the Cuban government had to put them on terrorist watch lists.
Yeah.
So if you watch them, you can go to jail.
You can go to jail.
And all they do is the same thing you are doing right now. And all they do is report on what's happening in the news. But they're very popular, and they became very popular inside of the country.
Inside.
Yeah, that's just amazing. So let's make sure everybody knows where they can find you on Instagram and YouTube. And maybe I'll tax Matt again and say, Matt, can you put up the Instagram and YouTube URLs? That would be great. But where can they find you?
On YouTube, we're Yoel and Mari, Mari, and TikTok as well. And then Instagram is Mima, Mima, in Cuba.
We need to change that.
We have to change
that. And how many people, like, let me ask you that. How many people have viewed these videos on let's say, on Instagram or YouTube?
Probably around
millions of people.
I thought on YouTube, I think we're up to 40 million views. So
more than 40.
Wow.
Yeah. And TikTok,
12,
I don't know. 11. No, more than that. TikTok is, you know how TikTok is.
She's the behind that. She know everything about that.
Probably 100 million on TikTok.
Wow.
Views.
And I have you looked at the statistics to see how many of those are in the United States versus how many are in Cuba or other places?
No, the grand majority, because of just how especially TikTok is banned in Cuba.
It's banned in Cuba.
Right. Is the United States. And interestingly enough, and not to go on another tangent, I know you're trying to wrap this up, but the reason why we went viral in the first place is because people did not believe Yoel. And thought that we were lying, called us, crazy names, saying that we were exaggerating, that this is all a lie, that it's just U.S. capitalist CIA propagandists. Who's paying us? Yeah. We still don't know.
We working in Fox News. We work in the CIA. We work in FBI. It's crazy.
Yeah, but that's the reason why we went viral to begin with. To be honest, isn't that crazy?
That's amazing. So people in Cuba were saying that.
No, people here
in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because that's the left politician mind. Always
it's the younger kids, the generation of today.
That's used that word.
Yeah.
That's pronoun.
Yeah.
If you are against to the United, if you are favor to United States, for example, me, I say, hey, I want a freedom from Cuban. If I do something, someone in Cuba follow me, or 1,000 people follow me, the government use it. He's the CIA pay him.
Yeah, but it's Cubans and
it's the manipulator. How the
it's mostly Americans, I think, that we're lying.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, Yoel, first of all, welcome to America. It's great to have you. You bet. Right. And Marissa, thank you for being here as well and for documenting this great journey. I appreciate you.
We really appreciate
I'm
your time.
Sorry for the English. So sorry for my.
Hey,
I just want.
Your English is as good as mine. Trust me. So don't worry about it. No worries. Yeah. All right. Well, good. Well, listen, this is an example. I mean, to hear this story, we talk about this all the time. Immigrants coming to the United States and how much they love America and cherish America. Because again, if you're born here, you take it for granted. You take electricity for granted, or you take eating something other than chicken every day for granted, or steak, getting that rare steak. You take all of that for granted. So it's always great to have immigrants on to help us renew that understanding of the greatness of America. And this is a country, I want to remind you, this is a country that people to this day will build a raft and risk their life in shark-infested waters to come to the United States of America. And we have to always remember that. For people who might say, hey, I don't know, America's not great or whatever, you can say that all you want. But the reality is the proof is in the pudding, right? People will risk their lives to get here for a reason. That liberty and freedom, it's so precious. Go out and defend it. Freedom and liberty, defend it with every breath that you have. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for listening to American Potential. You may listen to more stories from Americans working every day to expand freedom and opportunity in their communities by visiting AmericanPotential.com.